Today I'm joined by Linda Krei. Linda, how are you? Fantastic to have you on my coaching journey.
Well, thank you. I am so well. I'm just thrilled to have this conversation. Been looking forward to it.
You know, your journey as a coach has been pretty amazing to watch and to see exactly how you help everybody grow their business. But I want to start with one thing that I always start this my coaching story with is what is it that what do you enjoy? What do you love about coaching? Why is it that coaching's a thing for you?
Love it. You know what? My passion is really about getting the next generation of leaders ready. And I really learned that at a young age. When I was growing up, we had a paper route and we had, babysitting. And in the Midwest of the USA, we walked beans for money, right? That's what we did. And when I think about that, and finally, even a little bit of, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I didn't know that at the time. Here's what I did know. When we were young kids playing, I would take my mom's old Avon books, right? And I would be the Avon lady in our little neighborhood. And I'd make up these blank checks and take their orders and such. And so I didn't know what I wanted to be. I just knew that I wanted to be something different than what I was growing up as, right? So that idea of helping other young ones discover the gifts and talents to help other people become better and have better lives, that excites me. I love that part.
I look at that and I think, in your career prior to becoming a coach, there's so much that sort of led you down that path. And I'm sure that everyone would love to know a little more about that. What led you to being a coach, I guess, because not just that childhood stuff, there's also your career, which was dang amazing, but it led you to have such a level of knowledge that you could give amazingly knowledge back to all of those people.
Well, thank you for that. People invested in me and gave me an opportunity and believed in me when I really didn't believe in myself sometimes. So, knowing and experiencing that someone sees potential and they nurture that and grow that, and that all happened in the corporate world. So I made an intention that my dad had an 8th grade education and I wanted to do something more. So I did. I got my undergrad and went on to get my MBA, and probably would be a lifelong student if it wouldn't be that I'm paying for my kids to go to college right now. So having said that, in the corporate world, I had opportunities to have different positions. I was in the utility industry and I was in healthcare, and I had a really good experience for people in investing in me. And then when somebody else decided that they were going to restructure and move positions around, and I chose not to make that move, I decided, all right, well, how do I find a way to now play it forward for other people? And that's when I found Action Coach.
Yeah.
That's when I found Action Coach.
It's kind of interesting, though, that you had sort of mentors, I guess, as you grew through your corporate career. Was there any particular position that you think you learned the most in, or where was it? Because you were in senior management by a lot of that. So tell us a bit more about that career, because I think it's important for people to understand your background and how that brings you to coaching.
Sure. Yeah, well, my undergrad was business, finance, and economics. All my work, though, has been on the human dimension, the human relation side, the people development, right? And when you say when leaders get better, everyone wins, I believe that, because leaders have the ability to create the environment for that learning. And so along the way, I would say to you, I learned as much from those about what not to do as much as I learned what to do. And right, so there's lessons in both. And in the 21 years I was in healthcare, in those 21 years, I had 9 CEOs and I had 10 CFOs, those key leaders in those key roles, and you can watch the leadership abilities and their shadow and how that framed the culture and living out our mission and what we valued. All of that kind of shift and took on that personality. So I learned from that. I'm a visual learner. So if I watch you and I watch others do things, I can do that. I just tell myself I can do that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of your clients are sort of leading that way. And one thing you've done really well is you've brought your clients together a lot. Tell me more about that community aspect of what you're doing.
We're wired to be together. And I think this last year, 2020, proved that people really, if they ever wondered that, they certainly discovered that we need to be in relationship with others. And really, I can't think of anything in life that we do that doesn't involve other people. I mean, folks might think they're, like to be by themselves, and yet at some level, you can't get anything done with and through others. And so those relationships are so key, Brad. And I know you know that, and others have experienced that we can do more together. We can do the heavy lifting. We can manage through crisis. We can do whatever when we are together in relationship. Strong.
Well, you bring those business owners together, though, because we kind of know that business ownership can be lonely. What happens when you bring them together and keep your business owners, all of those clients and all of the people in your community together?
Right. The wisdom comes from within. So really all I try to do is create the space for those crucial conversations, those conversations where that wisdom is shared through stories, through experiences. It deepens not only their relationship, but their ability to give back to the community and other places in which they show up.
Yeah.
So it's a critical element because we're so busy. We always have these to-do busy lists, right? Where do you create space to come together and just think together and be together and share together? That's important.
So that brings me to another point. This has led you to not just be a leader of your clients, but more a leader in the business community. And I'm intrigued how that's sort of been a thing. Is that something you always wanted to do, or has it just been a natural progression of being a coach?
You know what? I would say that it's you find a need and you fill a need. And then you get invited back to kind of top of mind. Well, we're trying to figure something out. Who can we tap into? Who might have some knowledge? Who might create some space for the conversation? So I think it's a part of how I'm naturally wired to be able to do that. And I love to bring out the best in people and look for that. There's always a nugget there that can be honed and nurtured and brought to light. And I think that's just a natural part of how I'm wired. And then you surround yourself with those people that help you become better, right?
Yeah. It's real interesting because the leadership of your business community, but the leadership of your community as a whole is a big part of being a coach. But you're also part of the Action Coach community. And how does that impact your day-to-day or your month-to-month being the coach that you are?
When I first learned about Action Coach and I learned the mission of world abundance, right, through business education, re-education, that really spoke to me. And yet when I first started, I thought, where's my community? Where's my people? Because I grew up in that space, in that corporate world where, I'd go in every day, I'd make my rounds with people, I'd interact, I have team. And I discovered that there is such a community here. And a community of giving and sharing. There's not anything selfish about any coach I've ever met. It's always about embracing the opportunity to help others, to guide others, to share with others. You can't fail, really, because you're set up with not only high expectations, but with resources and relationships and people you can phone when you need to and just say, hey, I got this going on. And they'll let you be in that place for a little while if you need to vent and do all that, but you don't get to stay there. And that's the beautiful part of it is we don't get stuck. We can't get stuck.
I love that about our culture. I think that the culture is one of and it's set up with the fact that they're like you and they're like me. They love helping people. It's their nature. And when you have a community of thousands of people whose natural goal is to help others, I think that works. Now, you've progressed in your coaching career. You started out doing it yourself, and now you're building a team of people to do the coaching with you and for you. Tell me a bit more about that progression, how you've progressed and where that's going in the future.
Right. So the first year, very much around focusing on getting good at what I'm doing. And it was intentional to be able to be in that place where I love being a global trainer. I love being a master coach because it grounds me even more in the concepts and the principles. And I know I can play it for better. So that was intentional. And now building out the firm and adding other coaches and business development managers, and on the brink of that, bringing on 2 more coaches. So I'm excited about that. And one of them happens to be most recently my son. And when you think about the corporate world, that's kind of nepotism. It's like we frown on that, right? In Action Coach, I can't think of a better legacy than to teach our young ones how to do that with and others. And it's almost like this ministry a bit for our family, because there are so many things we cannot leave undone. And that would be helping those businesses and those business leaders in our communities in which we're raising our families. Yeah. That's incredibly important. So that's an important part of what we're trying to do and what we're building here to be able to give back. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so wonderful. I see it so often where parents bring in their kids, or I've seen cousins come and join the Action Coach firm, or brothers and sisters, and all that. I think that's an amazing part of what we do, because the work we do changes lives. And I want to ask you a bit about that. Like, is there a client or someone that you think of, like there's just a story that embodies what it is that you do? Or is there a favorite client even, where the story is one of, because we do change lives on a day-to-day basis.
We do. One of my favorites has been with me for 3 years, and it's actually a nonprofit. Wow. He's a younger executive director, and he was kind of put in that role almost overnight, and did not really have the mentoring that he really needed. So I actually met him when I was on the board of directors with his agency. And since then, though, he tapped into me a bit, and we formalized it. So we've not only invested in him, he has now taken it out to his leadership team, and now we're taking it out to the next level out at the different sites. And it's an after school program. So it's called Beyond the Bell, after school program. So think of the young lives that these folks are all now touching and influencing with after school programs. And he's investing in them. He sees the value of investing in them as young leaders. I love that one. It's truly amazing.
I know with our foundation and with our Coaching for a Cause program, we do get to impact community at a very high level and at a very low level with the kids who go through our foundational training, and just the thinking stuff of how to think about life and that from our foundation. I value that so much. So I want to ask you a bit about that. How has Action Coach and being a coach changed you? How have you grown in that environment, I guess, that you decided to jump into?
I think early on in my career, it was about making sure I had financial security. And, my husband and I had this plan, and we've done that level. Now it's about maturing to always give back. At the end of the day, I want it to be a good tired, in that I really help bring out some goodness somewhere. It's kind of like the Mr. Rogers approach, where do you find the helpers, right? Where's the goodness? And to me, that I think I've matured as a coach to say, when you focus on that, all the rest of the blessing, all the rest of the abundance finds you. Yeah. It does. It truly does. So I think that maturity over time, the confidence of simply just having a conversation around something that you care about, that others care about, finding that common, and then help remove some obstacles and barriers and help them achieve what they want. And when I watch people have a personal goal of maybe wanting to go into business for themselves or be an effective leader, and they're in an environment, Brad, a work environment where it just sucks the life right out of them and they can't wait to retire, that's not how I feel at all. I just feel like I've got more life and energy now to make sure I'm playing it forward for others than I had maybe at an earlier stage in my career. So coaching has been a true gift. It truly has.
Yeah, I watch, and I know one of our coaches who, Ian, and I sit back and I think, as he nears his 80th birthday and we keep him, and we just keep him coming back. It's like, come on, Ian, keep coming back, keep going, keep going, keep going. And it's just a way to give back and do wondrous
Yeah.
things. So tell me about the future for you then. Where do you see
Mhm.
your future in your coaching story, and how do you see it progressing for you and in the whole heartland of what you're doing and helping businesses across the city, across the region and the state?
You know what I'm finding for us here in the Midwest, in these rural communities, so these smaller communities, the businesses are the lifeblood. They are, even past 2020, they are, when they are strong, the communities will be strong. And it's a great place to raise family. It's a great place to raise not only your children, but then their children.
Mhm.
And for me, in those rural spaces, they're hungry for this, because in the corporate world we have access to a lot of resources.
Mm.
In the rural communities, oftentimes there are two, three generations of business owners, and maybe they can't learn from the originator, like the grandfather, the grandmother. They're not even with them any longer, so they only know what they've learned and passed
Mm.
on. And to keep them that going, to me, it's about creating the opportunity to bring them together and learn from each other. So for me, it's working with a lot of the local area chambers in these communities, and they're very hungry for resources, facilitators, the education, and inviting us in. So we've just got to get that plan in place so that as we're building our team, we have the capacity to deliver upon what we're creating for the need. Getting the marketing machine running right now is that's where my coach, I've retained a coach, as you know. It's being congruent. It's what we do.
Well, it's
And
one of those things. If you don't believe in coaching and have one yourself, it's hard to actually be a coach.
exactly. So and you learn from it always. So right now, my coach is helping us create our massive marketing machine and
Mm.
making sure we got that piece in place. So that's the plan, and the growth is to continue to grow in these spaces, contiguous to where we're at. And I talk about this I-29 strategy. It's an interstate that kind of
Yeah.
runs, because when you look on the map of the United States in the Midwest, right on the Missouri River, right where Iowa, South Dakota, and Nebraska come together, we're right there.
Mm.
So that opportunity to grow up and down that highway, if you will, that interstate, is wide open for us. So we need to get after it.
Yeah. I love seeing the success of your clients, but to me, as my partner in your region, it's like I love watching your success and your growth. And I want to just lend a hand to congratulate you on everything you're doing, because the businesses that you are helping grow, and I don't think many people realize this, but if you could just finish with this one area, the number of people that have got jobs because of your coaching, the companies you've helped grow and therefore offer more jobs to people. How does that make you feel when you get those results each year?
At the end of the day, that is a metric that's more important to me than the dollars and cents in the bank,
Mm.
because that's better for them than even a life insurance. When they have the ability to find meaningful work and take care of their families, right? And get off of maybe some programs that they've been on before, rather than creating a dependency. It's that whole idea of, equipping them to learn how to fish type of thing. So
Yeah.
both are important. And to me, at the end of the day, that metric is as important as any other we measure. So time, energy, and of course, money, resources. And we have abundance of access to resources, no doubt, in our organization.
Linda, thank you so much for taking the time to let everyone know a little bit of your coaching story. I love it. I appreciate it. And I hope everyone watching will as well. And for anyone watching that is looking to join Action Coach, make sure you get back with your recruiter. If you're watching and you're looking to join Linda's team, please, now you know a little bit about why she does what she does. And Linda, if just that ultimate point, why you do what you do, is more important to me than what you're doing. So congratulations and thank you.
Mm. Thanks for the opportunity to chat with you, Brad.
Most appreciated.